Morning guys, John from Paved in Stone. So there's lots and lots of different types of grout on the market. Today I'm going to be showing you one of my favourites and why. Cheers. Hi guys, so today we're doing a little bit of grout. Probably like a lot of you, we've tried lots of different grouts. Up until maybe 6 months ago, I was a firm sort of flow point guy, chucking flow point into everything. And then I just decided to have a go on another one, and that was Fuga-Pave Flex CH. And since then, I haven't looked back really. Really enjoy working with Fuga-Pave. So this short little video now, we're just going to show you how we're working with it and hopefully list off some of the benefits. So when we're starting off, as you would with most grout, you just want to get a little bit of water in your bucket to start. Obviously, we've been making some grout already this morning, so there's some left over in there, but that's okay. So we get our Fuga-Pave CH Flex. One of the really nice things about the Fuga-Pave that I find is making smaller batches. Making smaller batches is really easy. Flow point is a lot more sensitive to how much water you're adding into it. That's not to say that the Fuga-Pave isn't sensitive to it, but quite a lot of the times with the Fuga-Pave, actually what we're doing is we're adding water to get to the consistency that we want. So we don't really have to worry about, you know, these precise measurements. So it's really easy to make smaller batches. What I normally do is about half a bag at a time. So we've got a little bit of water in our bucket to start, and I'm just going to roughly get my half bag in there. If we have a just look at the colour there, this one is jasmine. It's another reason why I quite like the Fuga-Pave. You've got some nice colour options in there. And I'm going to add a little bit of water on the top now. We've got our paddle mixer there, and we'll just go ahead and start mixing. Starting off a bit slowly because I don't want all the dust to fly up everywhere. And once it's starting to turn into it, I can just whiz it up a bit more. Okay, so this is probably a good stage just to have a look at the example of what I'm talking about, getting it to the consistency that you want. The Fuga-Pave is a little bit different than flow point. Flow point, obviously, it comes in quite a wet slurry. This stuff's a bit different. For this stuff, we're looking for a really nice, creamy, putty type texture. Let's whiz it up again. Okay, so doesn't take long to mix it up, and that's what we've got, a lovely sort of creamy texture. We'll go ahead now, we're going to work that into our joints and we'll show you how that goes like. Okay, so we've made up our grout, we've got our lovely silky creamy texture in there now. So next thing we're going to start thinking about is working this into our joints. Generally speaking, with this Fuga-Pave Flex CH, you've got a little bit longer to work it, but obviously guys, you've just got to be really careful. It's a hot day, you know, all of that sort of stuff. You've got to mitigate what you're doing. So you can apply it with virtually any kind of float or anything that you like. I picked up a couple of these little wooden squeegees from Tyler's Tools. Perfect for the job because I'm not trying to cover the whole slab at the moment. I'm just trying to work this in to the joint. So I'll go ahead, get myself a little blob on my spreader, and the way I like to just do it is just to roughly chop through there first of all, and then I'm just going to work it into my joint. The nice thing as well with the Fuga-Pave is I find anyway, you don't get much sag, and maybe that's because I'm doing smaller areas and it's a little bit more controlled. Those of you that are experienced with flow point, if you get a little bit too much water on your washout or in your mix to start with, it's really difficult sometimes to see if you've got any sag in the joint. Something to do with the polymers on this stuff is really good. It just forces the water back out to the top. Obviously, you know, you're following your kind of normal rules, making sure your slabs are saturated but not soaking wet, making sure you haven't got sitting water in your joints. As I said earlier, you know, the Fuga-Pave is a little bit more tolerant with your water content, but you do still need to control it. You don't want to dilute the mix down too much because you're going to lose your colour, you're going to lose the strength. So that's pretty much what we're going to do is just work our way along the joint. Once I've worked it in and I've gone through a joint like that, I just come back to the top now and just almost on a diagonal action, just trying to pull off as much as I can. Now these slabs that we've got here, this is a limestone and they are fairly pitted. So it is, you know, you've got to be careful about how much you're applying at a time. Try not to go too far ahead because it's a little bit of a pig sometimes to get it out. So then when we're talking about getting it out, all we're going to do, and obviously for the purpose of this video, this is a bit too soon to be wiping it off as I would normally do. But in all honesty, I don't leave it that much longer. We tend to do about half a bag, maybe 5 meters squared between the two of us, and then we just get on and start washing that off straight away before it starts drying out too much. Come along with our sponge, 45 degree over your joint, and just dragging back as we go. Just a quick tip, when you are using a wash buoy or something similar to that, don't try and get it all done in one hit. It's not going to happen. So it's quite often it's a couple of passes to pick up some of the loose material and the overspill, and then you've got your final pass on 2 or 3, and that'll clean off your slab for you. If you get any problems, any kind of marking or haze left over, haze remover gets this stuff off, great, no problem. So say try and be controlled about it. Don't panic if you're left with a bit of a haze. It comes off really easy. So that's why I've now switched on to Fuga-Pave. Really enjoy using it, really enjoying the mix of colours that they do. So if you haven't tried it, I can thoroughly recommend it. Don't forget, like and subscribe. Cheers.